Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. I am so happy to be back live. I have a really fun and exciting workshop for us today. We're going to talk about the third eye. Let's see, give me 1 second. Okay, hey Holly. So today you guys, we're going to talk about the third eye. I have like a little workshop that I want to talk about and teach you guys today. And then of course I'm always open for questions as they come up for you. And I'll go back in the comments at the end and check on those and see if I can help in any way. Hey Lori, hey Ricky. So first, before we even get started, I want to tell you guys so that I don't forget, because I always forget to tell you guys things. Like I get off of the session here and then I'm like, oh my god, I should have told them that. I want to tell you guys now, and I'll mention it again at the end. I am starting my collective growth experience. It's a group coaching session, or it's not one session, it's 3 sessions. It's a group coaching experience, and this is to work on your own healing, work on transcending the shadow work inside of you, work on just really digging deep emotionally so that you can find your purpose. There's so many of us that know we're supposed to be doing something. We know that there's a direction we feel called in, but we don't truly know how to get there. So that's what this experience is for. I actually taught this, oh my gosh, I think it was like in 2017. I did this little workshop and it was great. I completely forgot all about it until I was going through some things on my computer recently, and I found it and I just got so pumped, and I've completely like revitalized and redone the whole thing to incorporate new, techniques and more coaching that I've gained and more experience that I've gained along the way so that I can help you guys more. And right now, it's only for $150 to sign up for all 3 weeks and get access to everything. So that's going to be the collective growth experience. If you got the email today, the link is in there. But I wanted to tell you guys about that before I forget, because like I said, I often forget, especially when we're doing an actual workshop. It's going to be super fun. It's going to be super transformative. And it's going to be very deep. It's going to be very, very deep work. So what we're going to do, just so you guys know, we're going to work on the shadow side. We're going to work on seeing how we might be people-pleasing. We're going to work on seeing ourselves entirely differently. And as we do all of this, it's going to be easier for us to manifest. It's going to be easier for us to work with our intuition. It's going to be easier for us to fall into our purpose, because then we're going to align ourselves with what serves us and take ourselves away from what doesn't serve us. So again, that's called the collective growth experience. It starts on, I want to say October 22nd, and it will be for 3 consecutive weeks. It's going to be really good stuff, and I hope you guys can all join me. I started with 25 spots available. I think there's like 18 left now. So go ahead and get signed up if that interests you. Okay, so now let's talk about the third eye. I was putting my phone on Do Not Disturb so that I don't get those calls that I do sometimes. Oh, thank you. Hey, Lauren. It's so good to see you. Hey, Keisha. Hey, Carol. Good morning. Hey, Maria. Okay, you guys. So we're going to talk about the third eye. So this is just like a little mini, just kind of crash course workshop, but there is some new stuff in here that is not going to be found anywhere else on my website. So I'm super excited to share this with you guys today. There are multiple articles on my website about the third eye, about how to decalcify it. There's like a whole write-up about how to decalcify the third eye, why it gets blocked, but we're going to talk a little bit about that today as well. So what is the third eye? The third eye is an actual real thing within our body, okay? Some people, they pronounce it differently. Some people say pineal gland. Some people say, I'm trying to think, there was like a very strange way I heard somebody else say it. Either way, it's the third eye, the pineal gland. And it's not located right here. Like, we're generally taught to focus here during meditation. The pineal gland is actually in the center of your brain. It's like somewhere in here, right? So it's an actual It's an actual gland in your brain, and it's shaped just like, if you guys hear grunting, my dog is like snoring in the background, I'm sorry. It actually looks like a pine cone, hence pineal gland, okay? So its actual job within the body is to produce melatonin. So melatonin is derived from serotonin, right? So our pineal gland's job within the body is to actually help with our circadian rhythm. It's to help us, you know, to get better rest, to sleep. And so as we sleep, what happens? We heal, we reset, we purge energy, right? And, you know, hopefully we're getting into the vortex. I was listening to Abraham this morning. And so that's its job within the physical body. But its job within our spiritual body, or within our higher consciousness, right, is to help us to see beyond what is given to us. It's to help us, it's our gateway for intuition. It's our gateway to open to a more higher, where are my words today? You guys, I'm sorry. I'm very prepared for this, but my words just aren't here today. So it's a gateway for our intuition. It gives us access to higher consciousness. It helps us tap into our clairvoyance, and not only clairvoyance. So when we think of the third eye, we think of seeing, right? So of course, as we work more with the third eye, we're going to be able to see more clearly. We're going to be able to get those clairvoyant visions more easily and more fluidly. But it expands into all types of intuition. So as you work on the third eye, you're going to expand your clairaudience. As you work on the third eye, you're going to start getting more synchronicities and get more in touch with your spirit guides and your angels. As you work on your third eye, you're going to be led more and more and more often and more easily. Does that make sense, you guys? So the third eye isn't just for seeing, but a lot of us in the spiritual community, we don't, for some reason, I heard that like the third eye was like a mythical thing. Like, no, it's a gland within your body, and it does have a job, have a function within the physical body, but it extends far beyond that. And the problem is that, and we're going to talk about this in a second, that it becomes blocked, it becomes calcified. And so that makes it harder for, you know, with the physical body functions, it makes it harder for us to fall asleep. It will affect the reproductive system. It will affect, you know, our happiness level. So sometimes if it's completely blocked, we can feel depressed, you know, and it's funny how all of these things go hand in hand, right? Because if we're feeling depressed, it's likely that we are not accepting our intuition or not tapping into our intuition. And so we can look at the third eye again as being like a center point. So for me, when we're looking at intuition, when we're looking at the body, when we're looking at depression, like with the emotional and the physical and the spiritual, it all goes back to the center. And what's in the center of the brain? The third eye. So I think that's so exciting to talk about. I don't know if you guys have ever talked about or thought about it like that before, but I just see in our physical reality and in our spiritual reality, everything is looped in together. And just like I talk about with manifesting, you know, like you can't have spirit without or you can't manifest without having spirit, and you're not going to have spirit without manifesting. So everything is literally looped in together. It's just a matter of expanding your awareness to be able to see that. So I'm just gonna I see a couple more people on here. Hi Adri, so glad you could join us. Hey Liza, hey Joanna. Okay. So you guys, we talked a little bit about what the third eye is in the physical body, and it's our gateway for our intuition. It's our gateway for higher consciousness, and it helps us to expand our intuition. So the more that we tap into the third eye, the more that we work with it consciously, the easier it's going to be to receive that divine information, to receive those divine messages, and to feel love, to feel the love of the universe, to be guided, to get those signs, to get those synchronicities. And so when you focus on the third eye, you're going to begin to see more clearly. And we've talked about this before in like one of my very first Facebook Lives about how clairvoyance isn't just seeing spirit. It's not just seeing things within your mind's eye. Clairvoyance is seeing past perception. It's seeing past reality, the physical reality that is in front of you. It's being able to see a higher perspective. It's being able to tell when someone's not telling you the truth, to look past the facade that they're showing you. It's being able to see when someone's hurting and they're smiling. Clairvoyance is much more than just seeing pictures in your mind. And so it can help us throughout each and every day. And this is something that I strive to teach all the time, that our intuition isn't just for giving readings. Our intuition isn't just for doing a fun party trick, by being able to give somebody a message or tell them what's been on their heart. It's for our own guidance. It's for our own life. And so the more that we become available for this information, and the more that we become available and allow it into our lives and into our hearts, then we're going to be led towards our purpose. We're going to be led towards the situations that serve us. We're going to be led away from things that don't. And so that is why I always tell you guys, I'm getting so passionate about this. That is why I always tell you guys that the more we tap into our intuition, the more beautiful life becomes, the easier things get for us all the way around, because we're constantly guided. We're constantly guided. We're constantly supported. And as you expand your awareness to just be like, hey, I'm available for this. There's nothing that you have to do. As you're going about your day, you don't have to constantly be meditating. But if you are available for it, and your spirit team and your angels and your guides and your higher self, they know that you're available for it, then all that stuff's going to find you. You don't have to go looking for it. Okay. I think some of that just came from spirit, especially that last part. Hey, Lauren. So you guys, just to get back on track, the third eye is for all of this. It's for all of our intuition. It's for expanding our awareness. It's for seeing more clearly, feeling more clearly, hearing and knowing more clearly. So let's talk about how it gets blocked, because it actually does get blocked. We talk about the chakra centers all the time and how they get blocked, and they definitely do. And then it corresponds to the physical body. And actually, if you guys are interested, that might be a workshop that we do soon as well, just kind of talking about how the chakras correspond to the physical body. But the chakra centers, for the most part, minus the third eye, are energy centers within the body. When we think about the third eye chakra, and we can think about the pineal gland, which actually does become blocked. It physically does become blocked. It gets calcified, okay? So there are actual, and you can even Google pictures on this if you want. There are actual calcium deposits that accumulate on the third eye, and the biggest culprit for this is fluoride. Straight up, the biggest culprit for this is going to be fluoride. Fluoride's in our water. Obviously, it's in our toothpaste. It's in some of our foods. So there are some people that, completely cut out fluoride from their diet all the way around. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I have a hard time doing that myself. But what I will say is you can be more conscious of the fluoride that you intake within your body, right? So years ago, I stopped using toothpaste with fluoride in it, except for, every once in a while. If my teeth are becoming sensitive, or my dentist says something to me, or, something like that, I try to balance myself between both worlds, but I do try to live a mostly natural lifestyle if I can. So that is one way. And then the foods that we eat, the substances that we put in our bodies, and you guys, different glands and arteries, there are many different things in your body that can become calcified. But this is one that I know, I haven't done research on the other stuff, but this is one that I know that we can decalcify by exercise, by sun gazing. So sun gazing is one that I've written about multiple times. I really, really love this exercise. It truly will help to decalcify your pineal gland. But let's use common sense, okay? Don't go out and sit in a chair and just stare at the sun with your eyes open. That's not gonna be good for you. You're gonna get a migraine. You might not be able to see. It's just not gonna be good. Use common sense. When I do sun gazing, I will sit in the sun, I will close my eyes, and I will feel just the energy of the sun just literally penetrating into my third eye. And so this is, if you do any research at all, the first two things that you're going to see are likely going to be get rid of fluoride, and start sun gazing, because sun gazing truly, truly does help. Plus, you're going to be getting vitamin D. Like, there's so many supportive things from the sun, and we're kind of taught to stay out of the sun, but truly any kind of, and this is going off topic a little bit, but any physical ailment you have within your body, if your energy levels are off, if you have depression, if you have, so there's a couple like autoimmune diseases that I know of, and one that I have myself, that is how I found all this information about vitamin D. If you start taking vitamin D regularly, a lot of your symptoms are going to improve. We're so lacking in vitamin D. So it does so many things for us. I'm like praising the sun right now, but it does so many things for us. So give sun gazing a try. That's going to help to decalcify your pineal gland, as well as have so many other benefits for your body. So foods, substances, you know, in America, we don't have the healthiest diet, right? So really try to return to more whole foods. Really try to return to foods that fill you, foods that ground you. And if you're someone that's going through an awakening, or you've noticed, I've had a couple of clients that have talked to me about this, and I noticed it myself recently, you've noticed that you really don't even want to eat that much right now. You might notice that all you want is cold fruits and vegetables, or just a ton of water, and you're really having to remind yourself to eat. Oftentimes that's a sign of that we're leveling up. That's a sign that we're kind of going through an awakening. And you guys, awakening doesn't happen once. It happens over and over and over. It happens, we learn our lessons, we integrate those lessons, and then once we integrate them, and this could take years, we level up again and we awaken again. And so I personally feel like I've been going through another awakening for the past like 6 months, and it's been entirely different than the first time around, but I've noticed some of the same things. It's been only wanting, you know, mostly fruits and vegetables, not really needing as much, just as much food. I know that sounds strange, but like I'm maintaining weight without having as much food, and I'm having the same amount of energy, and noticing, you know, when I need to sleep more, and noticing when I need to be more active, and listening to my body, and noticing the fluctuation in moods and emotions, and actually, like we talked about before, I think it was last week, sitting with those moods and emotions and feeling them, instead of saying like, oh, okay, I noticed this, I feel it, let it go. Actually sitting with them, actually feeling them, so you can feel them rise up and go out of the third eye, and then go out of the crown, and actually release them. And so it's just been a whole different season of awakening. But also remember, our whole world is going through an awakening right now. This morning at the gym, I had one of the trainers was asking me about how my day went yesterday, and I told him I had 4 sessions, and then I had all this energy, and I like took both dogs on a walk, which is insane. They're big dogs, you probably can't see them. And then I like went to the store, and then we went to soccer practice. I just had all this energy, and then I just crashed. And his client asked me what I did, and we started talking. Older man, like much older man. We started talking about what I do. He tells me his daughter basically does the same thing, and we were just talking about like naysayers and stuff like that, and how right now we're not even getting that many people that are questioning what we do, because everybody is opening up, because this is the time that we're supposed to be opening up. This is the time that we're supposed to be elevating. And even those people that couldn't even fathom this type of work before are now like, well, let me understand. Help me understand what you do, because I know that something needs a shift in me and I don't know what it is. So our entire world is going through this like massive shift right now, this massive awakening, moving into the 5D, and it's so beautiful and it's so amazing. But like, you know, a lot of people don't know about it. So they're feeling it individually on an emotional level, on a physical level, feeling tired all the time, being like up and down like a roller coaster of emotions. That's what I call it. You know, having these very vivid and very specific spiritual experiences. So these are all signs of, you know, awakening or awakening again. And I had a question come through on Instagram while I'm on this subject. One of the questions was, does age have anything to do with awakening? Meaning, does age affect awakening? And don't worry guys, I'm gonna get back to the third eye lesson. It all gets wrapped in together. I don't believe that age has anything to do specifically with awakening. I believe that when we are kids, we're already there. We're already spiritual little beings, and we eventually get conditioned out of that. I don't think today's kids are going to be as conditioned out of it as I was, or some of the people in here were. We have much more information readily available at our fingertips, and again, people are shifting. People are becoming more open-minded. So hopefully those parents are kind of passing those things on. But kids, I don't worry about the kids awakening, because they just already are. Like, they just already are. It's just our job to protect them from shutting down, right? So what I do find, though, and I've been doing this for a long time now, I want to say the blog is going on 5 years. I'm going on, next month we'll make 4 years full time, I believe. I think I have my math right. I get confused between the 4 and 5 years. But I've been doing this a long time, and I see kind of two main categories of people. It's usually people in their like mid to late 20s that are kind of opening up and they're ready to do this work. And then it's people in their, and this is not a blanket, I'm saying most of the time, okay? Most of the time, the biggest groups of awakening people are usually in their mid to late 20s, and then they're like 50 to 60. Like, this is kind of like the two lumps of people, right? Like the two major groups of people that tend to have the beginning of their awakening or notice their awakening. That does not mean that somewhere inside or outside of this you can't have an awakening. I think that what happens is, I call it a shake-up. I have a mini course called the shake-up, because we're shaken to awaken. Like, look at our world right now. We have to be shaken to awaken. And most of the time it's going to be a major trigger in our life. Oftentimes a loss of, and it doesn't have to be a loss of a person, but a loss of everything that you've known, or just your entire world getting shaken up. And oftentimes people have to hit rock bottom, or there's something in their health, or there's something major in their life. And it can be good things too, but it's going to be something major that's going to show them, like, I've got to reach for something more, because what I've had isn't working for me anymore. Or if it is something good, it's going to be like, oh man, this wasn't me. This was something outside of me. Something did this for me. And so awakening often happens when there's something just really jarring, or really, like, earth-changing, life-changing for us that happens, that pushes us towards our purpose, right? Or pushes us towards our awakening, opens those doors for us. And so when you think about it, oftentimes we kind of got to get through those early stages of our 20s to be ready to open up, to be ready to accept it. I have two little sisters. One's 21, she just turned 21, and one's 19. They're both incredibly intuitive. The 21-year-old has been coming to me like the past couple of months, like, she's like, I want to do this, I'm ready to do this, and she's trying to learn. The other one, no, she's more intuitive than I am. Like, she definitely is. She's just not ready. I think we have to go through certain areas and stages of growth in our lives to be ready to take the lessons on. Does that make sense? And then that would make sense again why, like, in our 50s and 60s, people's lives are changing again. Like, they're retiring, their kids are moving out, they're entering a different season of life. Again, you can, anywhere in between, you can awaken anywhere in between. Those are just the two main age groups of people that I've seen. That was for Morgan on Instagram. And so, okay, so let's go back to the pineal gland getting calcified, okay? So we need to really be mindful of the things that we're putting in our bodies, and I'm gonna go beyond that and kind of go into the chakra of the third eye a little bit and say that be careful of the energy that you're bringing into your bodies and the things that you're programming yourself with, because don't think for a second that outside influences aren't going to block that chakra, block that third eye chakra. So just like emotions are going to cause your heart chakra to tense up and love is going to cause it to expand, the same thing's going to happen with the things that we're bringing into our mind, the things that we're taking on in our energy. So if you are someone that, okay, don't get upset, guys, but if you're someone that chooses to look the other way or turn a blind eye in situations where you should be showing up, or you're someone that really dislikes confrontation, so you try to take a more passive approach to life and kind of sweep things under the rug. Those are the things that are going to start to block this third eye chakra. And the reason is because we're basically saying, I choose not to see. Every time we sweep something under the rug, I choose not to see. And we think about the throat chakra, I choose not to use my voice. It's a choice. It's a choice, right? So if we say, I choose to acknowledge this is painful, this is uncomfortable, this makes me super uncomfortable, but I choose to acknowledge it, I choose to see it, then we open it up a little bit more. And if you're someone that has been getting intuitive hits for a long time and you're very intuitive and you keep shoving those away, same thing happens here. So if you're choosing to intentionally ignore your intuition, intentionally ignore what's been given to you, then that chakra starts to close down as well. So to unblock it, energetically speaking, we need to focus on it. To unblock it, we need to be willing to see. We need to be willing to expand our awareness. We need to be willing to look at our intuition and follow those hits that we're given. At least acknowledge them and say thank you, right? So if we want to unblock that chakra, we're also going to have to be willing to look at the things that make us uncomfortable. And how I'm getting this from Spirit right now. How beautiful is it that we just talked about last week about how to open your heart and how to let experiences and pain go. And now they're showing us that as we do this with the third eye, we're just elevating all the way up. We're opening all the way up. So we're expanding our intuition simply by looking at and acknowledging the things that make us uncomfortable, because as we do that, we work through them, we heal them, and we can actually let them go. So if you're willing to look at this person that makes you uncomfortable, or, for some reason, this passive aggressive, or choosing to look the other way, or sweeping under the rug, like this keeps coming up over and over and over and over and over again. This is totally not me. I have problems with people in my life. I don't have problems with people in my life, but everybody knows you can't get away with passive aggressive with me. I feel energy too much, so I'm going to be the one that's going to be like, hey, this is super uncomfortable. Let's just talk about it, okay? But for some reason, this is coming up right now on this session. So if somebody needs this, please know that as you're looking the other way, as you're sweeping things under the rug, just because you're not dealing with them doesn't mean that they're not there. And it's not just hurting the bond, or it's not healing the situation, but what it's also doing is hurting you internally, hurting that third eye chakra, hurting your physical body, hurting your spirit, because as you take that, as you don't deal with that energy, you're packing it on, right? And it's becoming like mud or concrete, and it gets heavy. So our job right now, and I'm getting this from Spirit right now they're showing me the solar plexus, our job is to really allow whatever needs to come up from us, just open up, come up, expand, and move through us. We've got to be willing to look at these things. So this is going to help you unblock your third eye, and all the other chakras that we just talked about, is being willing to look at the things that make you uncomfortable and sit with them for a minute. Also, to unblock the third eye is going to be meditation and visualization. And you guys, I'm just touching on this, but there's so much about the third eye. There's a whole third eye workshop. There's a whole automatic writing workshop. There's a whole section on clairvoyance in the intuitive development and progression course. There's all of this, and how to be how to manage being an empath, and all of the other clairs. That's all in there. So we're just kind of scraping the surface, but to expand your clairvoyance, to work with the third eye, you're going to want to focus on it. So that means doing meditations that lead you through visualizations. That means using your journaling techniques. If you want to manifest, if you're trying to create a different life, use your journaling techniques to write about your ideal day, then visualize that ideal day, then feel into that ideal day, and then let it go. So this is going to do all kinds of things. It's going to definitely call the things that you want to you. It's going to put you in the energy of already having it. It's going to work on that third eye, because now you're really getting into there. Now you're really visualizing. And anytime we do any kind of visualization work, we're going to be flexing that third eye muscle and strengthening it and opening it, okay? So closing it down is going to be choosing to look the other way. Closing it down is going to be, I don't want to see that, whether it's intuition, whether it's a person or a situation, eating unhealthy foods, and, you know, being mindful of your fluoride intake. These are things that are going to block it. Visualization, meditation, being conscious, being aware, being self-aware. These are things that are going to open it up. Now, actually, and then sun gazing, of course, and then, okay, so of course we can ask our angels, our spirit guides, our higher self to help us unblock the third eye. Like with any other chakra, with any other ailment, with anything in the body or anything that we need in our life, we can always reach out to our spirit guides. We can always reach out to our higher self, which we should be doing every day. I really hope that by now, if you've been doing these sessions with me for a while, that you are connecting with your higher self every day. And for me, that looks like meditation first thing in the morning and asking my higher self what I need throughout the day. And oh, this is exciting. This can go back to what we were just talking about with the fluoride and eating the healthy foods. Asking your body, get into like intuitive eating, asking your body what it actually needs. I have no room to talk right now because I just ate a pumpkin donut, but asking your body what it needs versus what it wants. So asking your higher self what it needs. What does my body need right now? So the point of this is, the more that you get into the habit of consulting your higher self or asking to see somebody or situations through the eyes of your higher self, you're going to develop more of a closer bond with your higher self and a trust for your higher self and a trust for yourself. And so some of this is now leading into the collective growth experience that I just talked about, but you know, all of these things, like I hope that by now you're getting into the habit of asking your guides for help, asking your higher self for help, asking your spirit team, asking source directly for help. You don't have to sit there and receive all of their messages. Like you don't have to be a medium to do these things. It's the same as praying. It's just now you're available to see the work that they're doing in your life by being willing to accept it, by being willing to see the synchronicities and the breadcrumbs and tap into that intuition. And so again, you don't have to be a medium to take the intuitive development and progression course, because we can all do this and we should all be doing this, because as we lean into it more, life becomes more beautiful and becomes more easy. Okay. So I just love this subject so much, you guys. Like I really, truly have a passion for teaching people to tap into their intuition, because it will change your life. It will just change your life forever. It changed my life more than I could have ever imagined. It made me a happier person, made me a much nicer person. And then like, look where I'm at. I was so miserable. I was so miserable in a corporate job that wasn't serving me, that was sucking my soul. It was literally the opposite of what I do now. I worked for the government. They worked on like weapon systems, like completely different than what I'm doing now. Completely different. But like, thank God I did that, because it pushed me to see what I want and what I don't want. And it pushed me to listen to my intuition, and it pushed me to cry and beg spirit to show me the way. And then it pushed me here in the seat right now with you guys. So I just, you know, it's just something really near and dear to my heart. So, okay, back on track, Ashley. Sun gazing and being mindful of the foods that we eat, exercise, of course, all the vitamin D, getting in touch with your spirit team, asking your higher self for guidance and for help. And then here is one that I just recently learned. So you guys know, like, I've already tried to give you a little bit of science behind it. And if you've ever done my Chakras 101 course, we go through every chakra and the science behind it. Like I do a lot of like, I like to balance both worlds, right? So I always like people to know, here's how this plays out in your physical world. Here's all the science that I can find behind it. And then here's the energy work that goes with it too. So in the Chakras 101 course, we talk all about that, but I just found this the other day. I'm super pumped about it, and it makes so much sense. So when we learn yoga or when we begin to meditate, we're taught about breathing. And I always teach people, especially like on our first call, when we do, you know, like if I have someone that's doing coaching with me and they've never meditated before, and just anything that I teach, you can find on my website, multiple places. If somebody's never meditated before, I teach them, I taught my dad this the other day actually, to help with anxiety. You breathe in for the count of 4, hold for 4 or 5 if you can, breathe out for 4 or 5, and then do this at least 4 or 5 times. And so we're taught this. We're taught this because most of us breathe in the opposite direction. You can probably check this right now, but most of us, when we breathe in, are sucking in, and when we breathe out, we're expanding. And so this keeps us in like a stress mode. It keeps us in like a fight or flight mode, okay? When we're breathing the correct way, we're expanding. Our ribs are expanding. When we breathe out, we're contracting. And so this is actually the correct way to breathe. And so if you're focused on your breathing, so that's why in yoga they teach you, and in different spiritual practices and in meditation they teach you the correct way to breathe. And so as you begin to do this, your body will relax, you'll tune more into yourself, you're tuning back into your intuition and to the natural way that you're supposed to be. Like our third eye becomes blocked as we're not listening to our instincts anymore. We're just not available for the subtle energies and the subtle directions. Like we have just become, through conditioning and programming and just life, like we're taken out of that. So we need to return back to the correct way to breathe, okay? And if you're someone that works out, like I really try to practice this while I'm working out, and I find that now I pretty much am breathing the correct way throughout most of my days. But what I just recently learned is that this actually can decalcify the pineal gland, and it's super nerdy of me to share this with you guys, but I really love it. So let me make sure that I'm saying this right. Cerebral spinal fluid, right? So we have this fluid that runs up and down our spine, up into the third eye, and all the way down to the base of the tailbone. And I'm sorry, I cannot remember. There's a little like flap, and this is not scientific terminology. There's a little flap at the bottom of the tailbone, or like I'm visualizing it. I just don't know exactly what to call it. But anyways, when we're doing this deep breathing and when we hold, that cerebral spinal fluid goes up into the third eye and actually puts pressure on the third eye. So the longer that you can hold it, the better. And then as you exhale truly deeply and push, like I said, we engage the core, push it out, that little flap, you know, like that is very specific terminology, you guys. I want you to remember the word flap. That little flap at the base of the tailbones opens and releases that pressure. And so as we continue to do this and we're breathing the correct way, we're putting actual pressure on the pineal gland, which is actually going to decalcify it. And isn't that so cool? It's like magic. Our body does so much for us. Like it just does these things and we don't even have to think about it. But if you can get into a meditation where you are relaxed, thank you, Keisha. Keisha said flap. You guys remember the flap. If you can, if you can get into a good meditation where you are truly grounded and you're truly relaxed and you have opened up all your chakras and now you're really focusing on that conscious breathing and you're holding at the top, you're locking at the top chakra, that's how I see it. I see it as locking at the top chakra. And then you exhale and you push it all out and you allow it to just release. Your body's going to relax. You're going to be taken even deeper into meditation or even deeper into trance. And then different parts of your brain are going to start lighting up and then like you're just unstoppable from there, right? So you guys, this is a technique that I've really been using and I have loved it. It's truly been helping me to really tap into that third eye. So of course, like I do meditations and visualizations that help with the third eye. And one that you can do is to visualize like a purple light here, and then going, like we've talked about before, kind of like going deeper in, and then another layer in, and then another layer in, till when you're like in the middle where the pineal gland is, and focusing on that pineal gland and seeing that light growing bigger and bigger. And of course that's going to help. That's going to help with your visualization. That's going to help unblock the chakra. But this actual physical act of breathing in, locking and holding that attention up there and holding the breath up there is going to put pressure on the pineal gland, helping to decalcify it. Okay, so I'm going to, oh, Carol, I do the Anandala Mandala. Actually, I found that, in a oneness meditation years and years and years ago. I think before I even started my blog, I started going to these oneness meditations. But you guys, the Anandala Mandala is a great meditation. I will say the first time I did it, I was not prepared. I almost passed out in my seat because you're doing what some people call fire breathing. So you're like and I just did that backwards, but you're really, really breathing like intensely, and then you let it all out, but you will be completely blissed out of your mind after that meditation. It is meant to be done as a group. And so I wonder if there's a way that I could host that. I don't know. That would be a long session. It would be interesting to do, but I wonder if I could host like a oneness meditation and do that, because I love the Anandala Mandala. But that is one. But yes, so you guys, there are many different ways to unblock your third eye, but the most, like I would say the top 4 is going to be watching what you bring into your body, and fluoride intake, of course, sun gazing, visualization / meditation, and then the technique that we just talked about, really, really putting pressure on the third eye to help to actually break down the calcium, actually break down those little, I see them as like crystals, right? So like break them down to allow yourself to just access higher consciousness and have a better and healthier body. And then of course, as you begin to do this, you're going to start, and if you haven't already, I would love to hear from someone who has been on here, and the more that we've done these sessions, like, have you had more synchronicities? Have you seen different spiritual things happening in your life since we started these a couple of months ago? For somebody who's been on these with me a few times, like, have you seen things happen in your life that you're like, whoa, like now you're feeling like spirit's real, like this is getting more and more tangible for you? I would love to hear from you, because the more that we meet together, the more that our energies connect, the more that we set this intention and do this work, the more that we're going to see these things happen in our lives. So, okay. Seeing if I have anything else on this. So I'm open to questions. I'm going to go back in the comments, and because I did see a few comments come through, and see what everybody has to say. Yay, Maria, I would love to have you in the collective growth experience. It's going to be so good. And for those of you that have just joined, I talked a little bit in the beginning about the collective growth experience. This is a transformational experience to kind of find your purpose. We're going to do a lot of deep healing work. We're going to do some shadow work. We're going to look at ourselves. We're going to see how we're people pleasing. We're going to see how we can use our intuition to guide us towards our true purpose. And that's not always with a job, but oftentimes it will show up in different ways. I'm going to teach you how to like create a resume with the life that you have to point you in the direction to the life that you want, or the life that you're here for. There's all the things. My links are still broken on Facebook, so for some reason I can't share it with you. But if you go to my website, it's the Collective Growth Experience, and all the information is going to be on there for you. And it's 3 weeks, and of course I'm going to put it into a course that you'll have lifetime access to. And it's only $150 right now. The price is going to go up in 2 weeks because it starts on October 22nd. Okay, let's see. Are there specific crystals we can use during third eye meditation? Oh, that's a good one, Lauren. So I'm I'm looking. I have a little box of crystals. I got a new shelf in my bedroom and I really love it. It's a pyramid. And I'm sure my husband loves it because I put it on his side of the bed. With all, like, it has a couple different shelves and I put some of my favorite crystals in there. So I don't have those right in reach. Fluorite is always a good one, especially rainbow fluorite. I don't have any of that right here, but fluorite's always going to be a really good one. It really enhances the intuition. It really helps you to open up the third eye, which is funny because fluorite is, I believe, and I'm probably sounding so silly saying this, but the natural, I think most of the fluoride that is in our water and in our toothpaste is synthetic, and this is like the actual, you know, like the real thing. So fluorite, and of course any purple stones, so amethyst, lepid, I always have a problem saying this, lepidolite, that's gonna be a good one. There is this stone, I know I have it in here. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this. It's like a really cool stone. It's like clear and it has all these different things in it. I cannot for the life of me think what the name of it is, but I had a client send this to me and it is called, like, you can, I'm sure you can look it up. It's like a shamanic journeying stone. And every time I use this stone, like I can feel it right now, and I don't feel all stones that intensely. Every time I feel or I use this stone, I just, like, I get all the visions, all the movies. Like, I really do go on some pretty deep journeys with this stone. So again, you know, fluorite, any purple stone, amethyst, lepidolite, any quartz stone, and you know, lapis lazuli is a really good one too. You would think this is for the throat chakra, but this, and oh, I got this from Spirit. Malachite. Malachite is going to be a really good one to use with the third eye too, which is a very intense stone. Of course, any color coordinating to the chakra, that stone is going to work for that chakra, but they are interchangeable, right? And we can program all of them. But malachite is going to, and I don't know, have my piece of malachite right here. But malachite, it's a more expensive stone, but it's going to be really good because it's a really, really intense stone. I hope that helps you. Keisha said, yes, vitamin D is important. Doctors prescribe it for autoimmune disorders. Yep. Ooh, your fiance. Oh, Lauren said her fiance booked a reading. That's exciting. That's so exciting. Okay, let's see. In my late 20s, I was so awake. Now I'm in my 60s and ramping up again. Carol said that. Yeah, so that's totally a thing, right? Like, I noticed that it's mostly mid to late 20s and then around again in like 50s and 60s. And I wonder, you guys, if it's just because we have so much going on, like in our 30s and 40s, like with kids and jobs and career and everything. I don't know. But, and again, anybody can open up at any time. It's just, those are the two main groups of people, age groups that I see. Yasiel said, hi, Ashley, do psychics use all clairs to receive divine messages or only psychic medium? Sorry, I'm rereading your question. All clairs to receive. I think what you're asking me is if psychics and mediums use the same types of clairs. So the way I can explain it to you is, so psychics and psychic mediums are a bit different. So I do have a whole blog on this, but a psychic is going to read just your energy, like your aura, your energy. But the way that they receive that, yes, is going to be with all of the clairs or any one of the clairs, whichever is their strongest. Psychic mediums are generally going to actually connect with your spirits, or sorry, your spirit guides, angels, actual, you know, like beings, light beings. So they're going to be the ones that are actually like connecting and channeling the messages, whereas that's a medium or a psychic medium, whereas a medium or a psychic, is just going to be reading energy. They're both equally valuable. One is not better than the other. They're just different, but they all use the same intuitive gifts, the same ways of receiving. Does that make sense? If you still need some clarification, let me know. Liza says she's seeing all the angel numbers. Good. I'm so glad to hear. And I've been seeing 1111 and a series of 2s lately. A lot. Holly says, yes, I keep having dreams where I meet different people. I don't personally know. They share their stories with me and it's wild. Yeah, so that happens when you're awakening. That happens, and it might be your spirit guides. It might be actual spirits coming to you. What it means is it's time to open up. It's time to expand a little bit more and see how you can start moving that into your meditations, moving it into intentional experiences versus only during sleep. So we have this thing where we think like, oh, I get so much when I'm falling asleep or when I'm waking up or when I'm dreaming or randomly, and we think we don't have the ability to actually harness it. We do have the ability to harness it. Before I got started, mine was all nightmares, all feelings of being watched, all feelings of being overwhelmed, and I would get, like random hits, but they would be so random. So we have to learn how to open our clairs up and how to kind of tune them down a little bit when we want to, so that it's like, hey, spirit, I'm available to connect right now. I'm not available at this time. So that has to do with setting boundaries and having quote unquote business hours for spirit, and things like that. Maria said, if it's 3 weeks, is it an hour a day? Maria, my group coaching sessions usually go about 2 hours. So it'll be like an hour to 2 hours. And with any group coaching that I do, it's always going to be live recorded so that you can go back and listen to it again. So if you can't attend live, you can go back and I'll have it as a course on your dashboard for you so that you can go back and listen to it again, however many times you want and whenever you want. Hey Josh. Yes, and also malachite stone. So does anybody have any questions for me this morning or this afternoon? I don't even know what time it is now. About anything or about the third eye. I do want to say this, and I think maybe I should talk about this next week, if I have the space. I don't want you to just focus on the third eye. So this is something that I did, and this is something that a lot of people do, is they think like, oh yeah, I want to open up to my intuition, so I'm gonna meditate, and every meditation is gonna be on the third eye, or every meditation is gonna be, working to enhance my intuition and connect with my spirit team. Your your meditations should be about connecting with yourself first. Mediumship is about healing yourself first, and then others if you want to. All of this spiritual work is not so that you can get cool messages from spirit. It's so that you can learn to return to who you are. Find your purpose for why you came here. Be actually happy within yourself without needing all the outside things to stimulate that happiness, right? So it's about, let me just put it this way, like I'm just going to be completely blunt. I had no effing clue who I was before I started doing this work. I just, I tried to dress the way that I thought I should. I said the things that I thought I should. I got the job that I thought I should. I did all the things that I thought that I should. I tried to keep myself quieter. I tried to keep myself louder. Whatever the situation was that I felt would make other people most comfortable, that's what made me most comfortable. And so when I started, and I thought I knew who I was, I thought that I was fine. I knew I wasn't happy. I knew I was kind of depressed. I knew that I had all of these life situations, but I just thought life was hard and that's just how things are. And as I started doing this work, I realized who I was. And I started to like who I was. And that thing about be your own best friend, that actually came true for me when before I couldn't stand being by myself. I always had to have someone there, or, I always had to be distracting myself. And so as I began to do this work, which we think of like, we're doing intuition, we're expanding our intuition, we're learning to connect with spirit. What does that have to do with getting to know yourself? Fucking everything. Like, honestly, it has everything to do with it, because we're learning who we are. We're returning to who we are, who we came here to be, and we're stepping into being unapologetically ourselves, and being confident in that, because we step into actually accepting ourselves. I had never in my life even thought about accepting myself. Like, it had never even crossed my mind. And then when I started doing this work, I accepted myself for the first time ever, and I feel like I'm about to tear up. And then my life just changed, because I was able to look at myself and I was able to say, like, hey girl, I really like you. Like, you're actually pretty cool, you know? And like, I love you, Ashley, which is silly, or it sounds silly, but doing that mirror work and just bringing attention to yourself and getting closer with your higher self, like I talked about a few minutes ago, it's everything. It's everything, and it will change your life. And as you do that, your intuition just flourishes. Okay, let's see, one more comment. Cheryl says, I used to see figures before I would fall asleep, and now they have stopped. Have I lost my clairvoyance? Cheryl, I don't think you've lost it. We generally don't lose our intuitive gifts, but we do shut them down. So I would invite you to look at, like, okay, where has your vibration been? What has your attention and energy been on? And then also, you know, if you used to see that, what about doing some, and actually this leads me back to what I was about to say before I went on a tangent, do some third eye work, but we should be focusing on all of the chakras, not just the third eye, okay? We need to be focusing on all of the chakras to create balance within our body, to open ourselves up to spirit more, to open up our awareness more, and to clear out what's not supposed to be there, right? So work on your third eye. If you want, you can schedule a coaching session. We can see exactly what's going on. We can talk with your guides, and I'll talk with you, and we can assess what's going on. But definitely doing this work and being consistent and meditating and just being available for it and asking for it. And then I would also ask you, did something scare you? Did something scare you that you saw? Because oftentimes if we are scared, we will shut down. Like, you know, we'll kind of pull that chakra and we'll shut down. So I would invite you to look at the third eye. I would invite you to start opening and expanding your chakras and your awareness. And then look at, are you afraid? Are you afraid of this? And then we have to work past that fear and past that doubt. Because again, this is so beautiful. I used to be afraid all the time before I started doing this work. Now I'm never afraid. Like, maybe to a fault, where I'm just like, I know I'm guided and protected. I'm good. Like, I could walk down a dark alley and be like, I'm good. My mom would beg to differ on that. So, you know, it's just, I'm just joking, but that's just like to the point where you will get when you really, really, truly trust and know that you're always guided, you're always protected. And so no matter what, you can just lean back and do a trust fall. But you've got to kind of work through, you know, what it is that's been blocking you. So again, we can do a coaching session, or you can kind of take some of this advice and work through it and see what comes up for you. All right, guys. Well, I have had fun on here today. Thank you all that have joined me, and thank you all for talking with me. I love, love, love connecting with you guys. I will put this up on the site in hopefully today. If not, I'll try to do it tomorrow. And again, please join me on the Collective Growth Experience. And if this workshop has spoke to you, you're going to love, love, love everything that's in the Intuitive Development and Progression course, because there is seriously so much more in there. This is just like scraping the surface. There's a whole nother third eye workshop in there. Plus there's a spirit guide workshop. Plus you're going to learn about each of the 4 clairs, how to work past fear, how to work past doubt, like everything's in there. So I love you guys. I appreciate you guys, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.